Okay, I think we can get started. Hello, everyone. Welcome back. Uh, so today we have Dr. Richa ma'am. I think she needs no introduction today because she's already been taking this session
Always
previously for you
embarrass me ना.
in.
हाँ रहने देते हैं, उस पर टाइम नहीं लगाते, छोड़ो. It's
Yes,
okay,
ma'am.
let's
So
get started.
yes,
हाँ.
today we'll be talking about therapeutic area expertise and scientific credibility. So, ma'am, over to you.
Thank you so much. Hi everyone, how's Sunday going on? Eventful, full of education, chutti, good,
Good, ma'am.
nice,
Good. Going good.
very good, very good. और उस पे एक session है ना? How it
And
feels.
yeah, solid.
Okay, let me just quickly share my screen. Okay, fine. So, just on a different note, in the meantime, I find my slides. So, there's a conference on women's health tomorrow in Singapore. So, I stay in Singapore and I'm speaking on AI in women's health. So, since morning, I'm juggling between these two slides. If I start speaking something about it in between, please forgive me. You can understand my mental state that I have to speak on this now. And tomorrow, early morning, I have a session on AI in women's health. So, yeah, let's get started. Let me know if my screen is visible.
Yes, ma'am, it is visible.
Okay. Okay. Switch off the video. Let me minimize this. Okay. So let's get started with therapeutic area expertise and scientific credibility. What is the meaning of this? How do we measure this? And who are the people who are responsible for this kind of an activity? And why do we need this? Uh, we'll be covering this, but don't be scared. Huh? I won't spoil your Sunday. Right. So let's start. Okay, now how do we define a therapeutic area expertise? So, which means the person should have a deep clinical knowledge of disease, etiology, progression, when it comes to drugs, about mechanism of action, understanding of the standard treatment of care, different basic algorithms, and should be updated with new innovations which happen almost every day. Okay, should be aware about the unmet needs, burden of disease, and the patient experience. Uh, when these processes come into picture, certain guidelines become very important. So, person should have familiarity with global and regional guidelines, NCCN guidelines, HTA. Nice, ESMO guidelines, WHO guidelines. Person should be well versed, and recently in Europe, we can see JCA coming up, right? We cannot say no, we don't know, this is new. And last year Philippines HTA body also did some changes. So a therapeutic area expert needs to be abreast of all these updates that are happening. Should have a deep insight into patient behavior, referral patterns, and care delivery. um, Gone are the days when same treatment for same disease, let's say NSCLC, used to be applicable for all the patients, right? It is very, very different. And taking a few sentences from tomorrow's presentation, which I told you I'm surely gonna mix. I was preparing for this presentation on artificial intelligence in women's health, and I was very surprised to read about, like, till 1993 women were not even included in clinical trials. Okay, and it's very, very disheartening to see that only 3% of R&D budget goes only for women specific diseases, holistically, right? So should a therapeutic area expert needs to have a knowledge of all these things, how different male and female bodies react to a certain things, how different age groups are responsive to those kinds of treatments. Let's look at these in a bit of a detail. Deep clinical knowledge of disease, etiology, and progression, which involves pathophysiology, natural history, anatomy, physiology, should know how to interpret the trial outcomes or the real world study outcomes, okay, which includes your Kaplan-Meier curves, the KM curves, other statistical inputs as well, anticipating progression and treatment shifts. We went through a very tough time of COVID, uh, all of us, right? It was very tough. Nobody should go this again. Humanity should not face that again, and that has shifted treatment paradigm in many ways. People have become resistant to certain disease drugs. They do not react. Certain side effects keep on coming, right? So all these things are very different now. Okay, so therapeutic area expert should have an understanding of these things. Then current therapies, clinical practice, how are they being used? I was working on a project. Guys, I'll give certain examples from the projects that I know of, I'm working of, or I have worked in the past, or from my reading, so that you can relate to what I'm trying to say. Okay, right. So current therapies and clinical practice. I was working on one of the projects for migraine. Sorry, I can't divulge the client. I can't divulge the details of the drug. But what I came to know was with migraine, NSAIDs and ergot alkaloids have been in use since long. And what happens was people with migraine have multiple episodes, and sometimes it becomes so bad that people have productivity loss, absenteeism, workday loss. With the new drug, the clinical trials had an amazing result that the patient can go back to work within 2 hours of drug. Okay, so these current therapies, clinical practices form a part of therapy area expert. Positioning new therapies in landscape. Sometimes there is a lot of resistance by KOLs, right? Shall we include new drugs? Shall we not include? What shall we do? Right. Then awareness of unmet needs, disease burden, patient experience. What are the gaps in existing treatments? As I gave an example of clinical trials, right, R&D spend, patient reported outcomes, and caregiver impact. Caregiver impact is very important because if you are a full-time caregiver, there's a deep respect, because that's not easy, right? So should understand. So nowadays a lot of patient reported outcomes have been there since time and again. Lot of studies are there which just focus on the mental health of the caregivers. As I said, familiarity with the global and regional guidelines, benchmarking against the standards which are available, adaptations, country specific variations. Then insights into physician behavior, referral patterns, and care delivery, prescribing habits, referral flows, patient journey mapping, health system delivery considerations. Right. Um, I can give example from digital health here. So yesterday I attended one conference in Singapore. It was a startup demo day. I like attending these conferences, these kinds of workshops, because it keeps me abreast about what is happening. So one of the companies in Indonesia, they are developing something called as her lens. Okay, now what is that? For cervical cancer, sorry, for cervical cancer, the diagnosis currently relies on with a swab of acetic acid and seeing the color change. And if the and cervical cancer has a very high mortality rate, and if not treated on time, patients die. Many females die because of it, right? So they are coming up with a lens which can be fixed at the back of your mobile phone. Yes, back of the mobile phone. And at the moment they have this binary outcome analysis, yes and no, whether there's a presence of cervical cancer or not. Whether, I mean, it's still not there like early stage, late stage, or but at least it gives a hint, so that it does not replace, see, it does not replace the prognosis, diagnosis, and anything. It just gives the starting step, so that attention of care can be given to the patient, right? Being a therapeutic area expert, person should have such kind of knowledge as well. Okay. Framework of building therapeutic area experts. How do we do it? Right. Clinical trial summaries, burden of illness, reading, continuous learning, medical literature tracking, webinars, conferences. ESMO is for our good, but as a founder of a company, I rely more on closed group discussions, right? Or places, I mean, small places, so that I can have a healthy interaction with the other experts. Cross functional insights, clinical development, safety, medical affairs collaboration, meeting and discussing with different teams, research and development team, medical affairs team, HER team, commercial teams, etc. Stakeholder engagement, very, very important. KOL interviews, advisory boards, peer insight. They help us a lot. Okay. How they help us, I'll tell you. I was doing one project for Middle East. It was on pharmacoeconomic modeling, and we had to collect data for heart failure. Okay, for certain countries like KSA, UAE, finding data is a bit difficult. Same goes for China as well, because many times we do not have access to their databases and that kind of data. So whatever my team was able to plug from secondary literature, we did that. For data validation and data gaps, we reached out to KOLs. That's how KOLs, key opinion leaders, helped us. Internal knowledge sharing, very important. Whatever I learn from these conferences, Monday morning I have a team meeting and I discuss with my team. Not only that, I am meeting on Tuesday another expert for lunch, and again a knowledge sharing session will be there. Okay. Now, therapeutic area coverage, it does not depend or dependent on one area until and unless you are expert or want to be an expert in that particular area. Right. If you want to, let's say, be an oncologist, maybe everything about oncology should know. But I would say, if you have to build a career around it, get knowledge across therapeutic areas, different therapeutic areas, which includes oncology, cardiology, immunology, rare diseases, and various metabolic disorders as well. Okay. Now, how do we measure the impact of therapeutic area expertise? Right. Whether a person is therapeutic area expert or not. How do we measure? For example, I can give this example, correlate with the AI model. Right. Nowadays, artificial intelligence is everywhere. It was there since very long, 1950s. Okay, called different names, but now I see its role being expanded in almost every domain that I know of. Okay, so if I tell a client, like, by using this tool or AI or this large language model, your efficiency of your project increases, it doesn't work anymore now. So you have to quantify it, like, let's say the efficiency will increase by 15%, 20%, 25%, minus 5%. Okay, so you have to always give a figure. Similarly, we have quantitative metrics and qualitative matrices for TA experiences. When we say quantitative, how many number of publications, citations, number of citations, very important. How many KOL engagements are there? Participation in congresses, conferences, not only as a delegate, but as a presenter as well. Okay, qualitative matrices, perception of scientific leadership, any internal stakeholder feedback, and influence on access and reimbursement decision. Very, very important. I work a lot on HTAs, health technology assessments, and if there is any certain recommendation which is given by us and it is accepted by HTA, nothing gives me more joy than that. Okay. Now let's look at a typical case study in therapeutic area expertise. Now the scenario is, let's say in oncology, we are dealing with a triple negative breast cancer. Challenge, limited access due to evolving standard of care and patient hesitation. Now, how do we approach it? We do burden of illness studies, cost effectiveness models with experts validated inputs, as I gave you a Middle East example, or a patient reported outcome strategy. And the outcomes can be in the form of abstracts, posters, pair negotiations. Now, if I have a therapeutic area expert in the action, that expert can help me drive this project very well. The expert can help my team in understanding the disease, okay, disease landscape, disease progression. I can provide and validate inputs at his or her own level, right? And then as a scientific expert can review the reports or the abstracts or the manuscripts. That is how a therapeutic area expert comes into action. Now, what is the strategic importance of scientific credibility in health economics and outcomes research? We have seen a generalized view of scientific credibility. Now, if we make it specific to health economics and outcomes research, let's see where we get. Okay. Uh, a therapeutic area expert helps in bridging clinical and economic narratives in value communication. As I said, whenever we write reports, okay, an expert can help us in reviewing those, in validating those. Ensure relevance of outcomes to real world clinical practice. There's a difference between clinical trial and real world. Clinical trial means whatever is done, it's in a controlled environment. The impact of the drug comes into picture when it is in the real world. So the therapeutic area expert ensures that the outcomes that are there, they are relevant for the real world scenario as well. Can enable targeted patient-centric evidence generation, customized approach, I would say, for particular patients. Can talk science, so can collaborate across different functional areas like research and development, commercial area, or market access. With the scientific knowledge and expertise, the expert can build the trust with various stakeholders. Who is a stakeholder now? A stakeholder is a person who is a part of a project. Everyone, right from the team to the internal clients, external clients, everyone who is in the project is a stakeholder, because the person talks science. So when he or she interacts with key opinion leaders, HTA bodies, providers, payers, this kind of confidence come into picture. Okay, right. Let's move ahead. Right. The strategic importance of scientific credibility in HEOR. As we discussed, let's look at a few more pointers from previous slide. We were discussing bridges clinical and economic narratives in value communication, which means links efficacy data with cost effectiveness data. Now, what do we see in cost effectiveness analysis? We see the cost, quality of life, right, and the clinical efficacy, everything. Aligning clinical outcomes to economic models strengthens value messages for payers and clinicians. Right. Second thing it does is ensures relevance of outcomes to real world practices, reflects actual patient care setting, incorporates adherence, treatment pathways, and resource use, improves acceptance in HTA and peer reviews. Right. Sometimes, if you do not have an expert, the health technology assessment reports look very shallow, and the reviewers can identify this in one go, that there is no depth beneath what you are presenting. Right. Enables targeted patient-centric evidence generation, focuses on patient-reported outcomes, quality of life, long-term outcomes, not only the short-term, immediate, but the long-term outcomes as well. Moves beyond trial to the real world and enhances the holistic determination for the value of the drug to the patients, providers, payers. As we were saying, supports cross-functional alignment with different teams, integrates health economics into product life cycle. So from preclinical R&D, preclinical to go to market strategy to post launch, everything. Evidence aligned to scientific and business priorities, unified messaging across functioning. If I say a therapeutic area expert is a person who's a binder, I would say, for different teams. He's the collaborator, he's the go-to person. If any kind of team gets stuck anywhere, the person's experience or expertise can be leveraged across the same. Right. as we said in the previous slide, builds trust with stakeholders, KOLs, HTA bodies, payers, providers, validation from HTA payer and reviewers. Sometimes there are objection handlers which come when you submit to HTA bodies. Generally, the objection handlers involve therapeutic area expertise. This outcome is not captured. Why is this missing? Why the safety less, more, etc. Therapeutic area expert knows which evidence to look at and provides the correct information. Of course, trust drives favorable access and adoption of the processes. Now, what are the components of scientific credibility? What is the quality of evidence? Is the publication in a peer reviewed journal? Is it methodologically sound and transparent? There is no ambiguity. One instance came to my mind from one workshop I attended on Saturday on transparency. Okay. Um, Again on AI. Let me give you this one. So nowadays, many people are developing their own tools, customized tools, either from pre-trained model or fine-tuning the already existing large language models. Now, a big question comes: are these applications or the models that they are preparing, are they transparent? Of course, reproducibility becomes a question, because these large language models run on prompts. I may give a different prompt, you may give a different prompt, but are they transparent? Are they ethical? So this was a major discussion, and many countries are coming up with the guidelines or the standards for quality for these large language models and applications. I think that is the need of the hour, which includes your cyber security, transparency, ethical considerations, etc. Okay, now coming back to the topic, thought leadership, engagement in guideline development, publications, and speaking forums. Currently, I'm working on two global value dossiers, okay, in oncology. And if I wouldn't have had therapeutic area expertise, I would have been in a soup, because for a GVD, it's a humongous document, sometimes ranging between 350 to 500 pages, and you have to amalgamate. First, you have to write a thorough introduction, methodology. You have to amalgamate evidence from clinical studies, economic, quality of life, humanistic, lot of things, economic. So, a therapeutic area expert helps in bridging the gap. Then external validation, collaboration with key opinion leaders, HTA bodies, academic institutes, ethical integrity, separation from promotion, compliant engagements, which means should have a thinking that I'm not just going for promotion of the product, right? And should be have all the compliances in place. Consistency, very important. I think this is important in all the domains, across therapeutic area strategy, communication, and publications. Okay, now scientific communication strategy. Let's look at the scientific communication strategy, right? This involves publication planning aligned with development milestones. So these are basically the roles. Okay, in scientific communication, what is the role of the expert? Planning publication. So publication, how it happens, I'll tell you in corporate. It's not written in one day. It's a project. First, the pharma company asks us to give the manuscript outline, give them few target journals, which they can think of. Now, the target journal selection criteria, it depends on the impact factor, citations, more so how much time it takes for publishing the article. So those kinds of alignment needs to be there. Sometimes get co-authorships with KOLs and academic researchers. Of course, holds a great presence when you design abstracts, posters at global conferences, and it's a very very reputable work. It looks like एक abstract तो बनाना है, just one small abstract or a poster, and you have to just hang it at the conference. No, a pharma company's reputation is at stake, what they are presenting in it. Okay, and they are so picky, so choosy in this one. Like, I once worked for a US based company for one of the posters for a conference, I think last year itself, and it had to be approved by 10 different people from different departments. Matlab, when the project ended, I was like, thank God it ended, because to get 10 people having consensus on the same thing, it's a Herculean task. Okay. Then development of value dossiers, white papers, policy briefs, as I gave you one example. Leveraging visual storytelling and data visualization tools for credibility. Very, very important. Nowadays, we have a lot of data visualization tools available. Thanks to AI, I myself use a few. Okay. That helps, at least it gives me an initiating startup point. Okay. Now, let's say one point, how do we collaborate with KOLs to bring credibility? Certain principles, okay. Early validation of assumptions and model inputs. When we make a pharmacoeconomic model, cost effectiveness or budget impact model, it's an amalgamation of primary and secondary, as I was telling. So, in very early on, you have to start engaging with the KOLs and see if they are in agreement with the points, or actually I'm sending one discussion guide. It's the questionnaire is called discussion guide. I'm sending one discussion guide to a pharma company tomorrow. Fingers crossed, I hope they like it, which they will use to ask questions to the KOLs. Okay. Interpretation of evidence in clinical context, should be able to interpret the data, marry it with the outcomes. Joint publications and congress presentations, it's a joint effort, everyone gets authorship. Sometimes what happens is, as I was giving one example of 10 experts from one pharma company, because of conflict of interest they cannot present in the conference. Who saves the day? The expert. Participation in HTA consultations and roundtables. Singapore has a body called ACE, which is as an open forum. You can actually go and attend those kinds of roundtables. Ensure scientific neutrality and stakeholder buy-in. Cannot be biased. जो है वो है. Whatever the evidence is an evidence. Have I ever submitted a negative result? Answer is yes. Okay, to the client. I have. Okay. Okay, now just one second, just one second. Just keeping everything on silent. Yeah. Embedding credibility in HUR life cycle. Now, how do we embed this credibility in the HUR life cycle and the role of TA expert? So there are various steps in the drug life cycle, from early development to evidence generation, stakeholder engagement, dissemination of evidence, and the post-launch strategies. Now, early development. So in early development, you have to define the unmet needs, relevant endpoints, the value story. What is the unmet need? What are the gaps in the analysis? What should be the endpoints? What should be the measuring endpoints? Let's say I give you an example of her lens. Tomorrow, let's say let's say they start HUR study. At the moment, they are just measuring the binary outcomes, yes and no. They have to expand those outcomes and have to start creating a value story for the HTA body, payers, and providers. They help in evidence generation. What kind of model design is there? Is it a Markov model or whatever the kind of model? Okay. Study relevance, selecting particular outcomes, finding and engaging with stakeholders. And then how do you disseminate such evidence in the form published with recognized experts, and post-launch support label expansion, real-world updates, and life cycle evidence. Okay, enabling tools and infrastructure. So how does an expert does it, right? Knowledge hubs make centralized therapeutic area resources. And I used to do at my previous work at IQVIA. So I worked with IQVIA for 8 years. Whenever my team had some time in between, so उनसे ना मैं disease landscape के ना projects slides बनवा लेती थी, and we used to keep them in a repository. Cardiovascular हो गया, oncology के अलग अलग indications. So that helps when a project comes, because knowledge should not be wasted. Any particular references need to be in those folders, everything. Then expert panels, engaging with advisory boards, ad boards for scientific discussions. Should maintain publication dashboards. Um, I have, again, give my example. I have worked for a company called Cactus Communication. It's in Mumbai. Long back, I worked with this company, right? And I was a publication support specialist with them, and I used to deal with around 15 to 20 publications in a day. What I used to do, what my job was, so there are non-English speaking countries, right? Forget about I mean, submitting it to a particular journal. Used to find it very cumbersome even to create a username and login ID for particular general journal, right? So we used to do it for them. We used to submit the journal, and then keeping a track, what is the status, everything. Then internal TA champions, taking trainings, liaising with different teams, CRM of KOLs and network for co-development and validation. So should maintain a network of KOLs so that if the therapeutic area expert is in connect with the KOLs, let's say in NSCLC, so whenever the next project comes, usko ढूंढना ना पड़े. He should have those kinds of experts in the network already. Now, global versus local perspectives in scientific credibility that should be taken care of. There are variations in HTA requirements across the geography. Just say NICE in UK, ICE are in US, ACE in Singapore, right? So the differences should be taken care of, and the evidence needs to be tailored as per the specificity of the country, and balancing global evidence with local practice patterns. Now here we get stuck. I do a lot of country adaptations of pharmacoeconomic models as well. What is the meaning of country adaptation? Which means, let's say a particular big pharma company has a global model published. Now they want that to be validated only or built only to be developed for a particular country. So, and there are differences in practices, data, and everything. Now, and we have to adapt the communication for diverse pair contexts. In some countries there is Ministry of Health, there is FDA. So a TA expert needs to know all these, and ensuring cultural and regional relevance, very very important. One example I'll give you quickly. From Australia, I received one project, okay, which in a particular therapy area. I'm not able to recall, this happened 6 months back, but for that I had, so my team or somebody had to go out to various communities and many of the tribal areas also, okay, and they were not open to talk to you. Forget about giving the data, they don't even want to talk to you. So there, how do you tackle it? Sitting in Singapore, they will not talk to me. You have to find local experts in those countries and you have to partner with them. Okay. Now, future trends in T expertise, role of AI/ML in evidence generation and synthesis. I have given examples. Incorporation of PROs and digital health matrices. Digital health, I can give one more example. Okay, so from one of my conferences, so Danone has come up with a tool for measuring baby growth. I have a toddler, and since first 2 years, height of the baby is measured, and it is a very cumbersome process. They make the baby lie on that instrument, and I am holding baby's head, nurse is stretching baby's legs, baby's crying in between. Okay, it's very difficult task, ask me. So what that app does is, you take the picture of the baby, right, and it gives an approximation of height, weight, and says if the growth is in the correct line. So I asked a question there, like, can it help me saving my visits to polyclinic? Because as an infant he used to have a lot of checkups, regular routine checkups. So they said no, it will not replace it, but at least if there is any abnormalities there, it can help in detection, right? A greater emphasis on societal and equity outcomes. I attended HTA Singapore, APAC. Okay. And now majority of the countries are moving from cost effectiveness to cost equity analysis. US started 2 3 years back. The presentation was from Thailand, so they are about to start it. What do? When they measure these kinds of changes, they see impact on society, including gender, income status, how much is the family income, who is earning, are they insured, these kind of things. Okay. Then expanding cross disciplinary can include more epidemiology, data science. Data scientists are there in every team now because every company wants us to plug in fancy words, Gen AI, agentic AI, and RAG in our solutioning process. Okay. So if anyone is interested and wants to learn any language, learn Python with AI. You will not regret it. Don't spend money, much money. Okay. Learn if you are interested. Agar samajh mein aata hai. Because many of us get scared when we see those codes coming up, right? But this is what I recommend. If you want to learn Python with AI. Okay. Key takeaways. Therapeutic area expertise grounds HUR and clinical relevance. We learned about that. How to measure scientific credibility. How to so that it can drive trust, influence, and access. Uh, Together, it elevates evidence to real world impact. However, requires investment in people, tools, processes, and engagement level. Okay. छोटा सा टॉपिक था. Didn't require much details, but I am open to questions if any, but light topic considering a Sunday. Any questions I can help you with?
Yeah, hi, this is Alina this side. So, wanted to know like this therapy area expertise and also do the pharma companies or any other organization they have a separate base or this done by the medical affairs only?
At the moment, medical affairs, Alina.
Okay, so there are no specific like different people like with the different specialities are not.
Consulting में होता है. Let's
Achha.
say I have a consulting company ना, तो ना उसमें होता है. If it is, and generally they take the role of medical writers.
Okay.
Because they keep on writing global value dossiers, manuscripts, abstracts, right? But consulting companies may definitely they are required.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good evening, ma'am. Myself Abhinesh, and I wanted to know uh, uh, how would people like if shifting from one therapeutic area to another therapeutic areas, how would people manage those challenges, and what are the frequent challenges that they would encounter, and how would they manage, and any other advice from your side?
Keep on learning. That's the advice, Abhinesh. I mean, there is so much to learn, so much to learn, and it's not easy. Okay, there are so many, and you know the challenge is they are expected to be Harry Potters. Okay, if you're from that generation or you've seen or read about Harry Potter, they want experts to have a magic wand and they run just the magic wand and quickly process the information. But the TA expert also needs to go back and study, right? Cannot know everything. Just say I'm working on a rare form of cancer. Okay, none of us knew that. We went back, we studied, right? So if we expect that the TA expert will know everything anyhow, every time, it is not humanly possible. But yes, the expert knows far better than us, always. Okay.
Yes, I'm understood, but as a simple point of view, is it necessary to only like if we are switching from to another therapeutic area, can we mainly focus on pathophysiology and current treatment guidelines so that we could manage speaking with those therapy experts? Or is there any other
I
something?
mean, if you want to, okay, if it's a quick win or a low hanging fruit, answer is yes. to navigate to that particular project. Okay, but generally once the TA experts start reading, they just deep dive into it, right? मतलब project manage करने के लिए those things are fine, sufficient, as you said, but for a long term goal, it's always advisable to read and study more.
Yes, ma'am, understood. Thank you.
No problem.
But yes, I also feel the same challenges because if I come from a Dharma background,
Huh.
the switching from Dharma to other therapeutic area is very challenging because what they think is like Dharma is not so scientific, but they want someone from a high knowledge of immunology or oncology. So the depends on that of job switch and the therapy switch is very challenging.
I get it. I get it, Elena. I completely understand what you're trying to say. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why I said it's very challenging to switch a therapy because once you are into the dharma, then they feel like it is not so scientific. But they don't understand like it's still it's scientific because you will go through lots of papers and studies and all. But yeah, that's challenging.
It's challenge. It's a challenge. Yeah. I get you.
Hi, Dr. Richa. I'm Ronak, just
Hi,
now
Ronak.
joined. I'm a friend as well as one of the faculty in this course. I just joined, I was not here. And thank you for being here and guiding the participants. So I think just to add, maybe I might be repeating. So if I assume the question was about the therapy area expertise is required across the all specialties and all. So we have repeated same thing only that it is not possible for anyone, and that's why there are a lot many specialties are there. Even in MD, DM, and all specialty. Even in pharma, we have multiple specialties. Even in dentistry, there are 4 or 5 fields. Even within surgical, there are many fields. So team colleagues. So in general, if oncology TA job is there, so either they require MD. And they might take MD fresher or MD guy directly. But for a non-MD person, they would expect some experience in that therapy area. So in case you're working on Dermat right now, Alina or some other colleagues, and you are looking for some other therapy area expertise, so try gaining, I think Clemed also has some of the courses on some other therapy area, or develop some article or something. So that's what knowledge is one thing, but something documented thing, work in that, a review article or something on any kind of publication in that one or two other therapy area, you can work, you can have it. So it will add your credibility that you know the therapy area well as well. So if it is a trouble at this point to shifting to other therapy area without experience, so these are the things that I would recommend. Even HEOR with Dr. Richa and her company is doing. So some of the other things you need to develop, and that would help definitely.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. If no questions, then maybe we can close. We can give rest of the Sunday back to people.
Yeah, that's the best thing. Time is very precious nowadays.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. I don't see any more questions, so I think we are good to close. And if you guys have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. We can always answer
Sure.
your questions. All right. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, ma'am. Thank you, Ronak sir.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. Have a
Thank
great
you.
rest of the day.
Thank you,
Thank
Richa, ma'am.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Richa, ma'am.
Thank
Thank you,
you.
Clemed.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so
Bye.
much.
Bye.